Hi, and welcome to another episode of My YA Book Nook, a podcast dedicated to connecting with YA readers and fulfilling its mission, growing YA book love. Today, I'll be talking about some things I miss in YA and some things I think are a little overdone, so things I want more of and things I could do with less of. The book that we're going to be focusing on today has a genre that's kind of a mashup. It's historical fiction and mystery, and maybe a little thriller and murder mystery thrown in too. I really like historical fiction, and I think in the YA book world, it's overlooked a little. There are plenty of middle grade authors for historical fiction. One of my favorites is Jennifer Nielsen, but it was a struggle to find books similar to this, but a little more mature. And I think I have succeeded because today's book includes theme of grief, romance, and the after effects war has on people. This book is Girl in the Blue Coat, written by Monica Hesse. Other than this one, she's written many other historical fiction books like They Went Left and The War Outside. She's also a columnist for the Washington Post, which I think is so cool. I think a lot of young readers want to be a journalist, and I was one of those kids when I was younger, so it's cool to see someone actually do this and have a successful career as an author as well. I was super excited to encounter this book, so before we get into the summary, let me know what genres you want to see more of in YA. And later throughout the episode, I'll be talking about what I want to see less of. So if there's something you feel like is overdone or is just getting old at this point, feel free to let me know. I really love genre mashups. I think combining different genres makes books so much more engaging and keeps it fresh and interesting. Alright, let's dive into the summary of Girl in the Blue Coat. Amsterdam, 1943. Hanukkah spends her time finding and delivering sought-after black market items to any customer who will pay. She hides the true work she does from her parents, and every moment she wakes up mourning her boyfriend, who was killed during the German invasion, her mind clouded with doubt and guilt. She thinks of her illegal work as a small contribution to the rebellion. On another everyday delivery, a client, Mrs. Janssen, asks Hanukkah for a favor. Expecting to hear more about meat or kerosene, she's shocked by her plea to help find a person, a Jewish teenager she was hiding, who vanished from her secret hiding place with no explanation. Initially, Hanukkah wants nothing to do with this mysterious, dangerous job, but ultimately is drawn to a web of stunning revelations that lead her into the heart of the resistance and open her eyes to the horrors of the Nazis, and eventually compel her to take action. There were so many parts to this book that really stood out to me, so let's take it apart together one by one. The first thing I really noticed was how Boss's death affected Hanukkah. So Boss was Hanukkah's boyfriend before he died in the war, and there are a lot of flashbacks throughout the book about how they first met and the little moments throughout their relationship. It's a great way to show how people feel when they lose someone very important to them. It also shows many elements of guilt and how that can truly weigh down on someone and change them. Speaking of changing, there was also a lot about how the war can really change someone. Hanukkah used to be someone with an open heart for others, hung out with her friends, and basically was a normal teenager. But now she only cares for relationships if they promise money, and is strictly business, her war motto being survival first, survival only. It's interesting to see how people can change throughout the war, and it's something I never really thought about before and wasn't really brought up when I read historical fiction, so it was a nice addition and really informative. This book is exactly what it is marketed as, a mystery. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. As I said in the summary, there are so many stunning revelations that you would never expect. When I started reading this book, I really thought it would just be historical fiction, but it was a pleasant surprise to find a really well-written mystery with so many twists and turns, similar to many authors I love, like Holly Jackson and Karen McManus. It was really so clever. It definitely lives up to being a mystery book, and when Hanukkah finds something out, it's written in a way like you are too, and you really feel immersed in the whole story, like you're going along with Hanukkah during her investigation. You also discover a lot about the setting and the time that is in. So this book is set during World War II, specifically when the Nazis were occupying Amsterdam. I've read books about when Germany was occupied and the Berlin War, which happened in the 1960s, and this happens a little earlier in the 1940s, and it's a really well-researched book, so it expands your knowledge about World War II and how people had to live back then, like ration cards and constantly being interrogated by Nazis on the street, and how people's lives changed. Like, I think in the book, somebody related to Hanukkah became a soldier, and how people switch sides and take sides, and how civilians, normal people who lived side by side, start to turn against each other. Now let's talk about some genres or some themes in YA that I think are a little bit overdone. I think we could definitely see more historical fiction, but there are a few things I'm pretty tired of. So let's get into it. I think one really big one that a lot of people agree with is when a female protagonist is described as someone very average, but then, like, with everyone else in the book, she's someone really pretty and just outstanding. I think the characters in the book and the reader should be viewing that protagonist in the same way. I think the concept is just getting old, and it's annoying when you have to deal with it throughout the entire book. That and love triangles. If you're writing one, you have to make sure it ends up right. For example, The Samurai Champloo is obviously a really popular and beloved book, and it's very heavily based on a love triangle. So if you write it correctly, it could go very well, but if it's too cliche and takes too long, and essentially there's no end, it gets really boring and not interesting. I personally do not love reading books about love triangles because they annoy me. Okay, now the enemies to lovers trope. This is one I've talked about a lot on this podcast. I kind of hate it when the enemies go too far, like really hating each other just to death. Maybe that's the point of the trope, but I think it's just so uncomfortable when it goes too far, like an unhealthy type of hate. Maybe rivals to lovers is more my type. Well, those were a few things I miss when I read YA books, and some things that are definitely getting old. Which one of these do you agree with? Which genres or themes do you want to see more of, and which way less? If you like this podcast, subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Spotify. Tell others about this podcast so we can grow book love together. Thanks for being here today, and I'll see you again in 2 weeks.